podcast number 4. We're going to go back and recap the results from last week's game. Last week was week 8 of 8, the final week of the regular season in the RHL 2018 fall season. Going to go back and recap some of the scores from those games and analyze them real briefly here. And then we're going to look at the end of season stats, in terms of the leaders who did well, who had a great run this past season. We don't keep stats in the playoffs because we want to focus on the playoff games, focus on officiating. So we definitely have a philosophy, whether it's RHL, DCHL, MDHL, all of our leagues. We don't keep playoff stats. We just want to focus on those playoff games. But we do want to go back and look at some of the stats and look at the leaders from this past regular season. Give out some love to some of the players who did very well. So we'll do that as well. And then finally, we'll do the playoff preview. We'll go back through all the 4 games we have on tap next week, break them down, and give you an idea of where we think, might look for a possible upset here or two. Or we think the favorite is probably tough to beat here. So we'll do some analysis there as well, too. And then finally, we're going to talk to one of the goalies that plays in our league. He's played both divisions. Denis Jimenez. That's right, the young kid. The adopted kid of DCHL leagues. He plays in both the ball hockey league and now also in roller as well too. Good young kid. We're trying to keep on the straight and narrow here. We call him Super Dennis or Pooper Dennis. That's his new nickname. So either he's going to be lights out or he's going to struggle. So it's one of those goalies where he's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde goalie. So we'll be back with his interview at the end of the show as well too. So don't go away. Let's go ahead and start off, fortunately, with the recap of last week's game. You saw the stats, the results, actually, as we came in from the video here. Last week, we had 4 games, again, to end the season. It was week 8 of 8. The first game on tap was a D1 game between Blades of Steel against the High Rollers. Blades of Steel looking to probably they will be a 4 seed, and playing against the High Rollers who are number 1 seed. High Rollers haven't lost a game yet this season. They've had a couple of ties. So they were a huge favorite, but it was the Blades of Steel who came out strong, played very well, kept the scoring down. They eliminated some chances on goal, got the lead early, and then was able to kind of grind it out. So Blades of Steel playing the style they probably want to emulate the playoffs here, and they had a 4-1. Let me make sure here. It's a 4-2 lead, a 3-1 lead, and a 4-2 lead. But late in the game, the High Rollers were able to come back and tie the game up and end up being a 4-4 tie. So a good point here for Blades of Steel, and the High Rollers didn't score as often as they normally do in a normal regular season game out there. So give credit to Blades of Steel, and also give credit to the High Rollers for coming back and tying the game up as well too. So it was a 4-4 tie. Some shots in that game. Ian had the hat trick for the High Rollers, and Rob Banks had the game-tying goal late in the third period. The goal scorers for Blades of Steel were spread around. Jason Gorey, Andrew Willenberg. Also scoring was Jackson Savoy and Jake Woolery, the young kid who's doing well in roller as well too. I call him a young kid, but he's not that young. He's not super young like that Dennis is in this case. So good 4-4 tie for Blades of Steel. The key factor was Blades of Steel goalie Douglas could not make it, so Mazahir Fez Baig filled in and faced a lot of shots and did very well. So he was also a key factor in keeping this game into a 4-4 tie. Game number 2 on tap last week was, if I go back to my screen here, was the Hurricanes and the Stanley Capitals. Now, unfortunately for the Stanley Capitals, they had a late injury early in the week when their goalie, Bill Enright, playing a pickup someplace, I believe, in a ball hockey venue, broke a femur bone, unfortunately. So he was playing out as a defender, not as a goalie, and as a result of some free play, he hurt himself, had to have surgery. He's out for a long time now. So we wish Bill the best, and no one wants to see him get injured out there in a free play. So it happened to him, and we want to wish him the best. It's going to hurt the Capitals because that's their goalie. So I'm not sure who's going to be playing in the playoffs for the Capitals. They may ask for Denis Jimenez to fill in. We'll see how that plays out. They also had Andrew Kalos, who played well in goal the one time he played goal for the first time. And Chris Hans played this particular game, and Chris Hans did pretty well too. He looks like he's a goalie that can do well as well too. So the Capitals played the Hurricanes early on. The Capitals had an early lead, but after that was all Hurricanes. This game kind of got away from the Capitals especially late in the game. The The barn door was blown wide open by the Hurricanes, and again for the Hurricanes it was Dennis Owen and Nick Barry. That duo has really gelled. Again, Nick Barry started off as a lower division player who was a great skater, but he's really gotten very good. He's finishing, he's skating well, good, and he had a one sick goal where he actually put the puck. I believe he deked and put the puck right between the goalie's 5-hole. It was a really sweet move out there. So he's become really a top key secondary scorer here for the Hurricanes to go with Dennis Owen. They normally play together as well too. So they're the ones who were the stars of the game. Let's see here. Dennis had 3 goals, 2 assists. Nick Barry had 2 goals, 2 assists. Also, Dan Greenberg. Give a shout out to Dan Greenberg, rookie player who scored 2 goals. I believe his first 2 goals this season. So his first 2 goals in the RHL career. So Dan had a good game. And Jason Gorey had 1 goal, 1 assist also for the Hurricanes. Floodgates opened late first period, early second, and late third. It was a close game early on, but they blew apart the Capitals late, and it was an 8-3 final score for Hurricanes. The Capitals had goals from Alex Kalis, Jeff Babb, and also Dan Knight. Chris Hans actually played pretty well. He gave up 8 goals, but he actually played pretty well, so I wouldn't... he may be a goalie to keep an eye on in the future if that's who they use in the playoffs. Now, going to the game number 3 on our schedule from last week. It was the Little Big Men against the Wheelers. Again, the Wheelers team that, if they have all their players show up, they can be super, or if they don't, they can be pooper. So we'll see what happened this past week. This past week, Chris Ships, a newcomer, a new addition to the Wheelers. Chris is a veteran roller player, and he was a late addition to the Wheelers roster. He wanted to, he had, I think, a lacrosse. He was doing lacrosse. Season ended early, so he wanted to just jump back in, and he did. And he joined the Wheelers, and he had a hat trick for the Wheelers, 3 goals. So a good pickup from the Wheelers late in the season to get Chris Ships. Lou Gonzaga also had a goal for them as well too, but it wasn't enough, as Little Big Man blew out the Wheelers 11-4. Final score: Little Big Man Patrick Riley 3 goals. Jung Lee, yes, Jung Lee, the guy that we interviewed just recently in one of our podcasts. I call him a superstar. He says no, but I disagree with him. He had 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points for Little Big Man. Craig Stin, the captain, 1 goal, 2 assists to chip in. And Joe Siegel also had 2 goals, 2 assists to also add to the scoring as well too. So it's a game that was pretty much one-sided to a certain extent. I mean, it was competitive, but the scoreboard was all one-sided. It was all Little Big Man putting away the Wheelers 11-4. And the final game of the night, this past week, to end the season, was a D1 game. It was That's What She Said, Patrick Riley's team against Rough Riders. And Dan Ridings was there for the Rough Riders. But they still didn't help. Rough Riders had a slow regular season. They fell to, That's What She Said, 6-3. That's What You Said has only 2 losses. Those 2 losses came to the number 1 team in that division, High Rollers. So expect those 2 to pretty much be favored to battle it out for the D1 Cup. But hey, let's don't get that far quite yet. Let's go back to this particular game here. That's What She Said fell behind early, but then they got 5 straight goals. Leading the pack for That's What She Said this past week was Kevin Klimzak. We always talk about Kevin. All he has is goals. I think he may have 1 assist his entire season so far. He had 4 goals and 0 assists. Kevin had 4 points. Patrick Riley had 1 goal, 1 assist. And Steve Willoughby, second time seeing him play on the floor. Steve Willoughby was a goalie when he first played with us. Obviously, he's a very talented floor player and a very talented goalie as well too. 1 goal, 3 assists for Steve Willoughby. Evan chipped in 2 assists. As That's What You Said doubled up. Rough Riders 6-3. Again, it was just pretty competitive. I mean, the issue with Rough Riders, they just couldn't finish. They just were able to get that extra pass or the extra shot and couldn't finish. And they had some breakdowns defensively that led to the goals. So this is going to be a preview of the playoff matchup here. So a little preview advance here, and I think this can go either way. Obviously, it's going to depend on who's going to show up. But Dan Ridings back there helped out. Jeff Meny had 2 goals and assist for the Rough Riders, but it was a losing cause as they end the season with a 6-3 loss to That's What She Said. There you go. Quick look at the standings here. As you may have already seen also when we came into the video as well too. As the season ended, The number one team in D1 was High Rollers. They were 5-0-3, 5 wins, no losses, 3 ties, undefeated. Look at the goals for, goals against, 60-40. So you can tell that their scoring distributions between 60 and 40, which is pretty good. So they went pretty comfortably out there. They had 13 points, but they were only 1 point ahead. Only 1 point ahead of, that's what you said. As Patrick Riley's team finished 6-2, their only 2 losses came to the High Rollers. Their goal differential is a lot bigger though. They've only given up 27 goals. As that's what you said, and scored 58. So look, that's a pretty key set to look at in terms of goals against. Looks like Fez is doing a great job in terms of keeping them in games and keeping them in position to win games pretty easily. That's what she said. Rough Riders, 2-5-1 in third place, 41 goals for, 58. What the key figure here is not the 58 goals against, but the 41 goals scored. Rough Riders are usually a high and run offense, and this season they've struggled a little bit here. Again, players miss games. It's going to happen. I expect it to be a different story in the playoffs. We'll see how that plays out in the playoffs for us. Blades of Steel, very pesky team, 0-6-2, 32 goals for, 66 against, 2 points in the division. Again, it's going to be goal scoring for Blades of Steel. They got to basically have to keep the goals against down and just get more offensive zone time and score more goals. If they can do that, keep it a low-scoring game, they have a chance as well, too. So that's the top 4 in the D1 division. In the D2 division, it's Little Big Men in first place at 6-1-1. Craig Stent's team, 57 goals for, 39 against. In second place, Hurricanes, 5-2-1, only finished 2 points behind. Hurricanes did. Similar goals against margin, 55-32. Stanley Capitals, 3-5-0. They had a pretty good season, the Capitals did. 35-49, goals against. And Wheelers, disappointing regular season for them. They finished 1-7. Lots of goals against, 63, and not enough goals scored, 36. So that's the top 4 in that division. So we come back here, take a quick look at the playoff preview, and go over each matchup here as we come back momentarily. Don't go away. Coming back with the playoff preview here on the RHL podcast. Roll with it. Thank you so much. Welcome back, folks, to the RHL podcast. Roll with it. I know I promised you when we went to break, talk about playoff preview, but let's hold that thought for one more minute here, a couple more minutes here. I want to go back and review some of the stats leaders we had this past season, give out some love to players who had a great season, regular season-wise. Let's start with goalies. I play goalie, and goalies don't get enough love, especially in roller when it's all about offense and scoring here. So, goalie-wise, Fish, number 1 in the league, both... Same goalie, Fez Bailly, for his D1 team. That's what she said. A save percentage of 87.3%, 3.38 goals against. Then he was also number 2 in the league for his other team, for his D2 team, Hurricanes, 85.1% save percentage, goals against a 3.88. Hey, folks, when you give him only, less than 4 games, 3.5 goals a game in roller, you're doing very, very well. So, congrats to Fez. Good job, Fez. It's hard to play roller goalie. It's all about the offense, as we said earlier as well too. He's only allowing about 3.5 goals a game, which is great. So Fez doing very well. Also in the top 5, Joe P for Little Big Men, 4.33 GAA, doing very well. Stephen Dorsey. Let's don't forget about Stephen Dorsey. His save percentage is 83.7%. 4.71 GAA as well too. Bill Enright, mentioned earlier, got injured, had a pretty good season. 78% save percentage and 6 goals against as well too. Some of the players we have there as well too. So some shout out to the goalies who did very, very well. Let's go to floor players, skaters. Dennis Owen won the scoring title. He missed 1 game, played 78 games, had 30 goals, 6 assists for 36 points. So that's what's basically averaging 5 points plus per game. 30 goals. That's amazing for Denis. His mops. So mops is our core side. It's our way to evaluate the offensive players' overall value in general. It's based upon points. Goals are weighted heavier than first assist, then first and second assist. Penalties and negatives. Also based on playing time. We do go off average playing time. So his mops was 64.4, the best in the league as well too, in that regards. In second was Dan Knight. Again, the D2 players at the first two spots here. Again, had 14 goals and 11 assists as well. And that was for, I apologize, that was Dan Knight for the High Rollers. Now for the his D2 team Capitals, that was the Dan Knight from the High Rollers. 14 goals, 11 assists, 25 points. Good season for him as well too. In that regard, so he was a leading point scorer in the D1 division overall. Other people had good seasons. Jeff Minnie, 12 goals, 12 assists, 24 points for Rough Riders. He was a primary scorer they had out there. Kevin Klimzak only played 5 games, had 20 goals and 2 assists. 20 goals and 3 assists total. So Kevin was scoring 4 goals a game when he was here. If he had made all 8 games, he probably would have won the scoring title, I'm assuming here, or at least come very close to it. So he was a scorer that had pretty good high ops. You can tell by looking at the mops. Mops is getting our core side type stat out there. His mops is 53.2, second best to Dennis Owens. So you can tell that if Kevin had made a lot more games, he would have been probably number 1 in scoring in the D1 division, and maybe challenge Dennis for the scoring title as well too. So some great job there as well too. Ian from High Rollers had 13 goals, 5 assists. He had a good season as well too. Ian playing well. And Nick Berry, we mentioned Nick Berry earlier, 11 goals, assist. Nick Berry's become a scorer now in our league, and he had 11 goals for the Hurricanes in the D2 format. And a good job there as well too. Some key other stats I want to go over as well too is look at some of the advanced stats we have in RHL. You can tell some of the teams that finished 3rd or 4th. If you compare the shots goal for, shots goals against, in between periods, the teams that finished 3rd or 4th, they actually played okay. They hung in there for the first half. Second half, numbers dropped. You can tell why they were finishing 3rd and 4th place. Either not enough depth, or the talent level finally caught up to them. So you can see that that's a key stat you can see out there as well too. Look at shots for, shot against, and how play changed between periods and halves. And teams like the Rough Riders struggled. They were okay the first half. Second half, they gave up a lot more shots, and they had shots on goal. You can see a trend there pretty much for all the teams that finished 3rd or 4th in that regards. One key stat as well to penalty killing. The one team that needs to avoid the penalty box is Blades of Steel. They were 0 for 3 on the PK, 0% on PK. It's a very unusual stat. So if the Blades of Steel are going to pull off an upset in the playoffs, they've got to stay out of the penalty box. But they're not able to kill the penalties right now. They're struggling in that department as well too. One last thing, penalty leaderboard, penalty types in general. Pretty clean league in general. The most anybody's gotten in terms of penalties is 3 total. 3 total. There's a tie for the top spot there. So it's a great comment on the players and how well they play, how they keep the game clean. So we appreciate that. And if you look at the penalty types as well too, we don't call them penalties in RHL. Maybe 1 or 2 penalties a week, maybe 2 or 3 total. If you look at the stats, I go by week. There was 1 week where we had 7 penalties, but beyond that, usually it's pretty clean in that regard. So, a good testament to our league and how people keep it drama free, keep it clean for the most part. We definitely appreciate that as well too. So there you go. Some shout outs, some loves to the stat leaders from RHL. When we do come back, I do promise you, when we come back here, we're gonna go and look at the playoff preview. You'll see these coming up here momentarily. We'll go back and break down each game pretty quickly, but also in depth enough to have a feel for what's going to go on this particular Monday for our semifinals and playoffs. So don't go away. Back with a playoff preview here on the RHL podcast. folks, welcome back to the RHL podcast. Roll with it. Time for our playoff preview segment here. Going to break down the 4 playoff games we're going to have coming on tap. The semifinals on Monday. Start off with the D1 division first of all. It's the number 1 seed, the High Rollers, against the number 4 seed, the Blades of Steel. Again, this is going to be all deja vu all over again, if I can quote Yogi Berra here. All the games we had last week are going to be the same games we have this week for the playoffs, just the way it worked out schedule-wise. So it's a repeat week here for us. And last week, Blades of Steel, very pesky, played pretty well. Kept the shots on goal against down, got the early lead, hung on for dear life, wasn't able to hold on to win, but at least held on for the tie. They have to play the same exact way to have a chance against the High Rollers. High Rollers offense did not have a good game this past week. I expect them to actually be on point. All the players be there as well too. Again, this is all based upon players showing up for the playoffs. You know, this is a rec league. Players are going to miss games. It's going to happen. So these predictions and previews are based upon assuming that all players will be there. The entire roster is going to be there. If they miss games, it's the way life goes in general. So assuming that High Rollers are everybody up there and the Blades of Steel are everybody up there, I think High Rollers are definitely the better team. The chance Blades of Steel has is to keep it a low-scoring game, get the early lead, and grind it out. They cannot run and gun. Run and gun game favors the High Rollers clearly. Blades of Steel have to keep it a low-scoring affair and get enough possession time and enough key goals to have a chance to pull off the upset. Can they do it? Absolutely. They can do it. I wouldn't bet on it, but they do have a chance to pull that upset up if that occurs out there. The other game is going to be more interesting. It's going to be the 2nd and 3rd seeds. That's what you said, the number 2 seed against Rough Riders. Again, this past week, that's what you said, beat Rough Riders 6-3 to double them up. But again, it's a who's going to be available for, who's going to be there for both teams. I'm assuming everybody's going to be there for that's what you said. I'm going to assume that everybody's going to be there for Rough Riders. That's the case. This is a classic game you want to watch. This game can go either way. Rough Riders can bring their offense. That's what you said is deep, and they can score goals as well too. This could be a possible upset. The edge goes to the that's what you said because they've got more of depth and scoring depth there than Rough Riders do. So it should be an interesting game to watch. Having Dan Ridings back for the playoffs is going to be a big help to the Rough Riders as well. Sean Klondike has played very, very well for them. It's going to just come down to can they get 3 or 4 goals together in a row? Rough Riders can and put pressure on the team in red. That's what she said to counter. So far, it's been pretty much gate to wire. That's what she said in these games. And you want to put pressure on them and see if they'll react properly. So this is a team this is a game that's got more of a chance of an upset. I'm not going to pick the upset, but I think it's possible here. This is more of a coin flip than people may think in this case. So I wouldn't put that's what you said as a huge favorite here in that regards. D2, top seed, Little Big Men going against the Wheelers. This is a game that I would put as a major upset alert. Okay, earlier this season when these two teams played, I'm going to go back and try to find the game if I possibly can find the game here for us. But when these two teams played, it was a 1-goal affair where Little Big Men either won by a goal or it was a tie. Try to find that game if I can here between those two teams. That's when Kyle was here for the Wheelers. I expect Kyle to be there for the playoffs. As a result, I think this is going to be a possible upset seed here. Little Big Men doesn't have exactly a deep roster, so if one or two players are missing, that's going to hurt them. The game I mentioned was in week number 2, where Little Big Men beat the Wheelers 8-7 in a game that the Wheelers were going back and forth with Little Big Men. That's the kind of game I expect in this playoff here. Both teams have the top players, have their depth players show up. And this to me is a game I'm going to put on upset alert here because to me, the Wheelers have a chance to win this game. Whatever the line may be, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 goals, take the Wheelers plus the goals. I think in this case, again, if their top players show up. So this is more of a bad draw for Little Big Men because they drew a team that has a lot of talent. If they show up, can definitely pull off the upset. The other game in this division, it's the number 2 seed, Hurricanes against the Capitals, Stanley Capitals. This is probably a game that's going to be heavily favored for the Little Big Men. Hurricanes. They have enough goal scoring. Again, if Dennis Owens is there, which I expect him to be there for, they're going to score some goals. And Capitals have to play the same style as Blades of Steel in D1. They got to keep it a low-scoring game. Got to rely on goaltending. Got to rely on grinding it out. Got to get some goals early. Keep it close. And that's what they have to do. If they try to play a run and gun game with Little Big Men, I'm sorry, again, I keep saying Little Big Men, Hurricanes, that will not work out for the Capitals. Hurricanes have too much firepower, and they can blow teams apart. So it's going to be a game where it's all dependent upon the style of play that the Capitals bring out there. I would put the little Hurricanes as the big favorites here in this regard as well too. So those are the 4 games we have on tap playoff preview wise. The game to watch are the 2-3 seed game in the first division, and to me the 1-4 game in the D2 division. Those could be possible upsets to look at in terms of play as well too. So it should be a fun playoffs. There you go. The playoff preview. It's semifinals week coming up here next week in RHL, and the winners of those games will then play in the finals the following week, along with consolation game as well too. When we come back, we're going to go back and talk to Denis Jimenez. That's right, Super Dennis or Pooper Dennis. He'll be back with a quick interview, talk about roller hockey as well. Don't go away. You're watching RHL Roll With It podcast. All right, folks, welcome back to the RHL podcast, Roll With It. This is our interview segment. We're going to interview one of the young kids in our league. We call him Super Dennis or Pooper Dennis. It's Denis Jimenez. He plays in DCHL, MDHL, also in RHL as well, too. We call him the adopted son of DCHL leagues. Denis Jimenez, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Dennis, young kid, how old are you, Dennis?
I'm 20.
I'm 20, yeah. 13 going on 20 is what I want to call it, right? 13 going on 20. Dennis is one of the young kids in our league. He came through the Gwendolyn program. That's how I met you, right, Dennis? Through the Gwendolyn program. You played goalie for them when they first came into our league. The program that David Osher runs there as well, too. Tell me about how you discovered DCHL. I believe it was through Gwendolyn. How did you discover Gwendolyn, first of all? And then
so I actually met Claude at MC. One day I was
Claude Williams, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of our friends with Gwendolyn.
Yep, nice guy. I was going to class one day. It was on Monday, so and also this guy holding a hockey stick. So I was asking him, like, where do you play hockey at? And he told me there's a place called Gwendolyn. And so I went to Gwendolyn that same day. It was actually awesome. I realized nice people like Abdul, Claude, I think Matthew.
Matt D, yes.
Yeah. One of our role players.
Gotcha. So that's you're Claude by chance hockey stick. And so you got curious about it, and Claude went to the Gwendolyn program, and then of course the Gwendolyn program brought you into our league. Brought you into RHL. So all these steps, but good to have you here as well too. You are a goalie by trade, correct?
I'm the goalie for Wheelers.
Correct, but you're a goalie by trade, and that's what you do, right? When did you start learning playing goalie?
So for me, I started playing goalie for hockey-wise at Gwendolyn.
So
but before that,
is it the first time ever you played goalie, or you played goalie before?
I played goalie in soccer, handball. Gotcha. Before that, I was the floor player before that.
Oh, you were? Okay, so you haven't played goalie that long, is that correct?
No, not really. That's correct.
Okay, wow, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay, I thought you were a goalie by trade. Do you play ice goalie as well? I know you work for the Wheaton, the ice rink in Wheaton, correct?
The Wheelers?
You work at the ice rink in Wheaton, correct? So have you played goalie at an ice game, or do you play goalie at ice?
Oh, I would play. I do stick and puck.
Okay, gotcha. So tell me about your experience with you play both in DCHL, MDHL, and RHL, all 3 leagues. And you play goalie, all 3. So tell me the difference between playing goalie. Again, I ask all the goalies this question. Difference between playing in a ball hockey league with the ball versus playing in a roller league with puck.
I guess I love roller more because it's a little more faster pace, and plus the puck just doesn't dip or curve like it does with a ball.
Gotcha. So yeah, the balls do curves. People realize that as well too. Do you have a preference? I mean, you said you like a roller better. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. What are the things you have to you play ball on Sundays usually, then you play roller on Monday night. So quick turnaround, 24 hours. How do you mentally change your focus in preparing for the roller game after you come up playing a ball game? Well, how do you adjust your game?
Well, for me, like I try to adjust the speed of the game. Try to be more patient.
Okay. Is
Inside.
do you come out and play attack more on roller? Do you stay back more? Is there a different philosophy how you play roller versus ball?
For me, they do this because my mind is more suited for a faster pace. I'm just more suited for it. Then for slow pace.
Gotcha. You are currently playing for two teams. You are playing for, I mean, correction, you played for two teams last season. You played for one team this season. You're playing for the Wheelers overall. Wheelers didn't have a good season. They finished 1-7. That was not a reflection upon your goaltending. Their top players miss a lot of games, so it's going to happen when the top players miss games. Your thoughts on the season and what you need to do to have playoff success?
Well, we're getting there. Our number one concern right now is attendance.
Good.
Because we're missing players. They're not coming like a consistency. And besides, I think the plan is that we need to score more goals.
Good point. Attendance is the biggest key for all is attendance going to be. I totally get that as well too.
Yeah.
In terms of your playoff matchup, you're the 4th seed. You're going to be playing the number 1 seed, Little Big Men, Quick against team, Joe Peace team as well too. What do you need to do? What kind of style do you need to play to pull off that upset?
So the style of play is kind of like a mixture of Vatek Tretiak and a mixture of Dominic Koshik. Because my playing style is a little bizarre sometimes, up and down.
Got it.
But the goal is to stop the puck.
Stop the puck. Yeah, number 1 goal always stop the puck as well too. Now, let's talk about your NHL team. First, you told me it was Montreal Canadiens. Then you told me Maple Leafs. I mean, have you changed teams already? Do you have a third team now, or are you just a bandwagon fan?
Actually, no. So when I was little, I used to live in both the states as a kid.
Okay.
Now it's little. After I was born, I moved to Canada. First, it was Montreal. Then I moved to Toronto.
Oh, so you live in Montreal, Toronto. I did not know that. Okay. So that's Montreal. Now, you really can't be a Montreal and Toronto fan, right? They're like ice and water. I mean, they're like they don't mix, correct?
Well, I cheer for any Canadian team, really. I cheer for any Canadian team.
Gotcha. There's only 7 out there right now, so that makes sense.
Well, the reason why, because my favorite goalies were Patrick Roy, Judd Blunt, Ken Dryden, and Jose Theodore and Carey Price. They're great goalies in my
Good point. Dennis, people, if you don't know, he knows he's very knowledgeable on NHL history. He knows his history for a young kid. He can go back and recall games and players from before he was born. So it gives props that he knows his NHL very, very well. Dennis, who was your favorite Maple Leaf?
My favorite Maple Leaf of all time or right now?
All time.
So maybe as a kid, maybe Doug Gilmour, number 93.
Yes, good old Doug Gilmour, correct. Good power forward, penalty killer. He scored goals as well too. So, but he wasn't a prolific scorer, but he scored enough goals.
Yeah, like for me, when I play the floor, I try to play like Doug Gilmour, a small guy, but I'm gonna take that punishment and try to help the team as much as possible.
It's a good point. Doug Gilmour paid the price a lot, as a young small player, but he paid the hard to do that, which is great. Your current favorite Maple Leaf, who would that be on the current? And don't say Pajama Boy. I'll
say Frederick Anderson.
Okay, the goalie. Okay, all right. Okay. He hasn't had, I haven't really followed the Maple Leafs that closely this season. People I've talked to, like John Lee's a Maple Leafs fan, feel that goaltending may be an issue. Do you agree with that?
Actually, no. Well, the only one concern I'm concerned is our backup, but Gary Spark had answered the challenge recently.
Gotcha. Now let's talk about Denis Jimenez, the person. Okay. Know who you are and how you function. Let's do some quick hitters here. Okay, quick answers here. Okay, quick answers. All right.
Okay.
Rice or pasta?
Rice.
Rice. Okay, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
All right. Early bird, late night owl.
Oh, I'm a late night hour. You all know my history. Ball hockey on Sundays. You all know my history.
All right. 2 plus 2 divided by 1.
2. Base 4.
Oh, he failed. He failed that. 2 plus 2 divided by 1 is 4.
I'm a history major, not a math major.
An easy math question. You failed that part of the interview right there. Then, all right. Talk about your young kid. Obviously, you told me that you want to maybe go to college and play, potentially maybe even play college hockey. What are your aspirations moving forward?
For me, so I want to go to the University of Minnesota, go for it. But I gotta work harder every day. So every time I play hockey with you guys, it helps me help me be the best. I want to be the best goalie that I can be, and I want to help my team to be the best.
It's a good point. So Minnesota, you want to go to Minnesota, correct? University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good luck with that. Now, what as a goalie that plays, I want you to answer me 2 questions. Number 1, first of all, what is your strength and what's your weakness? If I'm shooting on Denis Jimenez, what should I avoid to do because you're good at that? And 2, what should I do that you're not good at so I can score goals against you?
So for me, I think my weakness right now is my 5-hole.
Okay. And what's your strength?
Strength, I guess, is my reflexes and my flexibility and youth because I have more stamina than some of the other goalies. I'm not calling them old, but I'm still young for the league's average.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, one last question before I let you go here is your advice to goalies who play. What would be your 1 tip about goalies who play ball and roller or just any goals in general? What 1 technique, tip, advice would you give them?
I say my tip is just have fun. Besides, I'm helping young goalies. I tell them just have fun. Don't worry about the puck or passing you. The number 1 goal is just to get better and have fun.
There you go. Good point. That's all about a rec league, all about having fun. So great, appreciate it as well too. Thank you, Denis Jimenez. Super Denis or Pooper Denis. One last thing. How did it come about?
Actually, I don't even know. I was trying to ask
Joe Horde, when you filled in for an MDH against the NBHL team, he said, "Oh my God, Dennis is filling against my team. He's going to be Super Dennis or he's going to be Pooper Dennis." His name out there. You are Jekyll and Hyde goalie. Lights out, then you're going to have maybe a bad game. What do you do to be more consistent?
I say I'm more consistent in roller because I just feel comfortable with a roller about a puck than a ball.
Gotcha.
And besides, I love helping an underdog team. I love doing that.
There you go. Well, your Wheelers are going to be an underdog team coming up here against the number 1 seed, Little Big Men, on Monday. Good luck with that. We'll see how you do as well, too. Thank you for joining us. Love having you on the podcast. You're a great kid. You help out as well, too. So, I'm sorry?
My prediction that the Wheelers going to win the championship. That's my prediction.
Wow. We have a lot of predictions on this show out there.
Yeah.
And now with this prediction out there, everybody's going to claim someone's going to be wrong. We'll find out on Monday on who's going to be wrong, or at least find in the season as well too. Thank you for joining us, Dennis. We appreciate that. Have a great playoff run, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, Denis Jimenez, Super Dennis or Pooper Dennis. Good young kid that plays in our league, Denis Jimenez. Also a kid that, unfortunately, life has dealt some bad blows, dealt some bad cards to him with his parents. So, we as a league, DCHL, MDHL, RHL, all the players, myself included, we're trying to help this kid out as much as possible, give him some good role model leadership in general, help him learn, help him grow up as a good young man, and hopefully he can get his goal and dreams of playing at University of Minnesota as a goalie as well too. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Roll With It podcast. Appreciate you tuning in. And again, if you have any feedback, do we want to do podcasts every week or on a monthly basis? Give me some feedback. What would you like to see as well too? So this is the first season doing podcasts, so I want to get an idea of what you want and what you like and what you want to, maybe to change as well too. So we're going to cater to what you want to watch and what you want to hear. So feel free to send me emails, talk to me personally about feedbacks about this podcast. We'll be back next week to go over the semifinal results from DCHL from the RHL playoffs, which is going to be coming up here on Monday. I'm going to go over the results and preview the championship game as well. So make sure you tune in for that one as well too. This is Sut signing off. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, folks. Take care.